Making headlines this hour. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz, by a presidential decree, officially amends the list of the nation's inhabited islands to facilitate the ongoing resettlement of Hirimaradu residents to Hanimadu. The Minister of Economic Development and Trade, Mohammad Saeed, announces that the cabinet has established new benchmarks to drive economic prosperity across key sectors in the coming year. The Minister of Youth Empowerment, Information and Arts, Ibrahim Wahid, assures that the government will play no role in the allocation of state funds to private media outlets.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSF News in English with me, Idham Naeem. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz, by a presidential decree, officially amends the list of the nation's inhabited islands to facilitate the ongoing resettlement of Hirimaradu residents to Hanimadu in Hadal Atoll. The amendment ensures that the electoral rights of the relocated citizens are protected during the upcoming local council elections, where the decree directly addresses the administrative needs arising from the resettlement process, which will overlap with the election period. In accordance with law, citizens in the process of being resettled are deemed to be electors of their new islands. Consequently, the decree designates Hanimadu as the electoral constituency for all Hirimaradu residents, enabling the Elections Commission of Maldives to accurately prepare the voters' registry for the polls scheduled for 4th April 2026. This governmental action taken under the authority of the Decentralization Act follows a request from Hirimaradu's resident community for improved living conditions. The Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure has stated that the project guarantees adequate housing and modern facilities for all residents resettled in Hanimadu, ensuring no one is left without a home. The move will be officially complete upon the government's announcement that all residents have been registered in Hanimadu, at which point Hirimaradu will be declared uninhabited. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz offers his deepest condolences following the passing of Begum Khalida Zia, Bangladesh's first female prime minister and a prominent political figure.
She died at the age of 80 while receiving treatment at Evercare Hospital in Dhaka for a lung infection, as confirmed by her party, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or BNP, and local media. President Muiz, in a message on X, expressed deep condolences to the Bangladeshi government and people, extending prayers for her grieving family. Khalida Zia, a three-time prime minister, played a pivotal role in the country's democratic transition. In 1991, she made history by winning Bangladesh's first free and fair elections under democratic rules, subsequently changing the government system from presidential to parliamentary. Despite her political achievements, her later years were marred by legal battles. In 2018, she was imprisoned on corruption charges during former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's tenure, only being released last year after Hasina's government fell.
The Minister of Economic Development and Trade, Mohammad Saeed, announces that the cabinet has established new benchmarks to drive economic prosperity across key sectors in the coming year.
Speaking at the 63rd anniversary celebration of the national radio, Devehirajya Adu, Minister said the government has designated 2026 as the year of Maldives' productivity, a renewed effort to accelerate progress toward the nation's long-term development goals. Minister Saeed emphasized that achieving developed nation status by 2040 requires consistent economic growth of 5 to 6% per capita annually. To meet this target, the government will implement sector-specific performance standards while encouraging reforms in national institutions, including media, to engage youth and workers in development efforts. He urged citizens to embrace a collective vision for a fully developed Maldives, highlighting the critical role of accurate information and media in shaping perceptions and driving progress. Public Service Media, or PSM Managing Director Ahmed Shakib, echoed the sentiment, praising President Dr. Mohammad Muiz's commitment to media modernization. He expressed confidence in PSM's growth under the current leadership and called for continued unity in preserving national identity. The anniversary event also recognized winners of the Children's News Reading Competition and the Poetry Competition, alongside the selection of the audience's favorite radio presenter.
In a move to ensure transparency and editorial independence, the Minister of Youth, Empowerment, Information and Arts, Ibrahim Wahid, assures that the government will play no role in the allocation of state funds to private media outlets.
During a press conference held at the President's office, Minister Ibrahim Wahid clarified that the process has been entirely delegated to the Maldives Media and Broadcasting Commission, MMBC, the industry's independent regulatory body. According to the minister, the MMBC has identified a list of 41 eligible media outlets and established the necessary procedures for fund distribution. Acknowledging previous criticism, the minister stated he accepts reports that the ministry's initial handling of the process was suboptimal, leading to the decision to transfer full responsibility to the Commission. He stated that his ministry now acts solely as an intermediary, forwarding the MMBC's finalized list and payment instructions directly to the Ministry of Finance and Planning without any additions or alterations. To ensure full public transparency, the minister has also requested a detailed breakdown from the MMBC, specifying the amount each outlet is said to receive alongside the criteria used for allocation. The Financial Assistance Program, a key campaign pledge of President Dr. Mohammad Muiz, aims to promote and support a vibrant private media sector. A total of $1.8 million, equivalent to 0.1% of the state budget, has been earmarked for this initiative this year.
Minister of Social and Family Development, Dr. Aishat Shiham, says Practical Work on Empowerment Hub, a facility aimed at providing training, skills development and work experience for people with disabilities in an inclusive environment, is set to begin within a week. The hub will cater to people aged 18 to 40 and aims to support economic independence, skill building and meaningful employment opportunities for those with disabilities. The hub is designed to allow people with disabilities to spend time with their families while learning and practicing job-related skills. Located in Hurumale Phase 2, the hub will cover an area of 5,500 square feet. Planned facilities include hospitality and culinary training areas, an inclusive cafe to provide a work experience, a retail space to sell products made by people with disabilities, workshop spaces, a computer and IT training center, an activity room and a multimedia room. The project is expected to reach completion by mid next year. The Maldivian government reiterates its firm support for the One China policy, recognizing the People's Republic of China as the sole legitimate government representing all of China and viewing Taiwan as an integral part of Chinese territory. In a statement, the government said this position has been consistently upheld since the Maldives and China established diplomatic relations in 1972. It described the policy as reflecting the country's long-standing commitment to sovereignty, territorial integrity and mutual respect among nations. The statement added that the Maldives believes in non-interference in the internal affairs of states, that the peaceful coexistence of nations principles, it said, remain central to its foreign policy. The government also expressed concern over actions by certain parties that it said undermine these principles and interfere in the internal matters of sovereign states. Reaffirming its bilateral ties, the Maldives said it remains committed to strengthening its long-standing friendship and partnership with China based on trust, mutual benefit and shared goals of peace and sustainable development. The Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure announces that applications for land and flats under the government's Housing for All policy will open on 15th January and remain available until 14th April.
The decision follows revisions to the housing program guidelines after considering public feedback from consultations led by President Dr. Mohammad Muiz and submissions to the ministry. Key changes include expanded eligibility, families allocated a one-bedroom government housing unit with children under 18 can now apply for a three-bedroom flat, while those with a two-bedroom unit and children of both sexes under 18 may also upgrade, provided they agree to vacate their current property as required. Additionally, applicants whose spouses own land or homes outside the Greater Male area, even exceeding 400 square feet, remain eligible. The program allocates 15,000 residential plots across urban, non-urban, and special priority categories. Land in Greater Male and Ras Male will prioritize residents of Male, while residents from other islands will only be eligible for land allocation from Ras Male, with 1,000 plots and 1,000 flats reserved for Male City Registry applicants. A further 7,900 flats will be distributed, 4,000 for Male residents, 1,500 for rural residents, and 2,400 for special priority groups, including families with disabilities, elderly dependents, or minor children. The ministry emphasized that the policy aims to ensure social security and equitable housing access for all Maldivians. Previous announcements from the 17th of November have been rescinded with the gazetting of this update guideline.
In a significant policy shift, the Ministry of Education will place special priority on ethics and moral upbringing within the secondary education system starting next academic year. The announcement was made by the Minister of Education, Dr. Ismail Shafiu, in an interview with PSM News, emphasizing that true education extends beyond academics and must be a collective societal effort. The goal is set to ensure students are taught good manners, positive characteristics, and strong moral values. This initiative is being undertaken under the special guidance of President Dr. Mohammad Muiz. The minister elaborated on the broader vision, stating that Maldives' economy is driven by welcoming tourists, making it imperative for locals to show good customs and good morals. In a related move to support this focus on a distraction-free learning environment, President Muiz had recently announced a strict policy on mobile phone use in schools. Beginning next year, students under grade 10 will be prohibited from bringing phones to school, while A-level students will be permitted to bring their devices but must store them in a special locker during school hours. The ministry confirmed it is now working to take the necessary steps to implement these new policies aimed at fostering a generation of well-rounded ethical citizens. The program was conducted on 29 December in collaboration with the Tourist Police and Neighborhood Police. It aimed to raise awareness among guest house operators on preventing tourists from wearing inappropriate clothes on Hulu Male Beach.
The program was conducted on the 29th of December in collaboration with the Tourist Police and Neighborhood Police. It aimed to raise awareness among guest house operators on preventing tourists from wearing inappropriate clothes on Hulu Male Beach. The program advised guest houses to inform tourists that wearing bikinis is not permitted on public beaches, noting that incidents related to inappropriate clothing are increasing. They were also asked to advise tourists to take care of their valuables while at the beach. In addition, guest houses were instructed to provide tourists with clear instructions and guidance to avoid booking-related issues during the high season. They were also urged to ensure that all payment-related processes are handled promptly to prevent fraud.
A total of 3,986 individuals have been stopped and questioned, with 29 arrests made so far under Operation Riveli, conducted by the Maldives Police Service.
Between the 24th and the 28th of December, police stopped and questioned 1,693 people in Male City, arresting 26. While 2,293 people were questioned in Hulumale, 3 arrests were made. Of those questioned in Male, 95 were foreigners, while 46 foreigners were questioned in Hulumale. According to statistics, 6,491 locations across Male were searched during the operation, while 1,954 vehicles were inspected, leading to 397 fines issued. Meanwhile, 1,879 vehicles were checked and 28 persons fined in Hulumale. As part of the New Year's Eve operation, police are intensifying efforts to prevent theft and robbery, monitor alcohol and drug-related offenses, address the use of modified silencers and reckless driving, as well as take action against those who violate general social norms.
President Gustavo Petro said Colombia's government raises the country's minimum wage to $470, reflecting a 22.7% increase.
The new minimum wage, which applies to around 2.5 million workers across the Andean nation, will come into effect in 2026. The hike more than doubles the 9.54% increase made this year, which brought minimum wages to $380 and marks the leftist administration's last minimum wage hike before elections are held at the end of May 2026. It also surpasses predictions for next year's inflation, which central bank economists have estimated at 3.6%, down from the 5.1% projected for this year. Petro acknowledged the measure would put pressure on inflation. The new minimum wage was announced by decree after no agreement was reached between business associations and trade unions. Petro also announced an additional transport subsidy for workers earning up to 2 minimum wages a month, which combined with earnings will bring workers' total minimum remuneration to $541 per month.
U.S. President Donald Trump says that the U.S. would quickly launch new attacks on Iran if it is rebuilding the nuclear program that he struck in June. Trump made the comments as he met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida, for talks on breaking a deadlock over the Gaza ceasefire and addressing Israeli concerns about Iran and Lebanese group Hezbollah.
Now I hear that Iran is trying to build up again, and if they are, we're going to have to knock them down. We'll knock them down. We'll knock the hell out of them, but hopefully that's not happening. I heard Iran wants to make a deal. If they want to make a deal, that's much smarter. You know, they could have made a deal the last time before we went through, a big attack on them.
Trump struck a decidedly supportive tone with Netanyahu, even as some aides and allies have suggested the Israeli leader was slow-walking elements of the Gaza ceasefire accord signed in October. Trump said he wanted to move to the second phase of the ceasefire deal between Israel and the Palestinian group Hamas, but that there has to be a disarming of Hamas. A ceasefire agreement in the conflict took effect on October 10th, but heavy Israeli bombardment and military operations in Gaza destroyed much of the territory's infrastructure, and living conditions are dire. Since the ceasefire was declared, Israeli strikes have killed more than 400 Palestinians, most of them civilians, according to Gaza health officials. Trump said that Israeli President Isaac Herzog had told him a pardon for Prime Minister Netanyahu on corruption-related charges was on its way, an assertion Herzog's office was quick to challenge. FIFA President Gianni Infantino defends the ticket prices for next year's World Cup in the United States, Canada and Mexico, citing heavy demands and the revenue it generates for the sport around the world. Earlier this month, fan groups had slammed the ticket prices, which are often several times more costly than equivalent matches in the 2022 edition. FIFA later launched a $60 ticket tier to make the tournament more affordable for fans of qualified teams.
In the last few days, you probably have seen there is a lot of debate about ticketing and ticket prices. So I was saying we have 6-7 million tickets on sale, and we started 2 weeks ago. Well, I can tell you, because in 2 weeks, in 15 days, we received 150 million ticket requests. 150 million ticket requests. So 10 million ticket requests every single day. This shows how powerful the World Cup is.
The FIFA president said fans from the US have made the highest number of ticket requests, followed by Germany and the United Kingdom. In the hinterlands of Victoria's historic goldfields, gold hunter Kelly Smith dug through a leaf-covered forest, sifting shovelful of soil as her metal detector bleeped, only to uncover a round metal object that turned out to be a shotgun pellet.
Smith, from the country of Koondrook, was prospecting with her partner during a training session organized by the Gold Center in Maryborough. The 50-year-old remained undeterred, saying she enjoys being in the bush while hoping to get lucky and find some gold. Smith's story is becoming more common across the country as hobbyists flock to Australia's 9,600 square kilometer Golden Triangle in the heart of Victoria State, known as one of the world's most prospective regions for gold nuggets. According to Reuters interviews with a dozen gold hunters, prospectors have been spurred on by record gold prices, social media, the success of TV show Aussie Gold Hunters, and a love for the outdoors. 72-year-old gold hunting tour guide Tony Mills said the largest nugget he has found weighed 80 ounces and that just 2 months ago he uncovered a 3.5-ounce piece as he pulled the flattened nugget about the size of a walnut from his pocket.
G'day, I'm Brent Shannon. I've been a gold miner and I'm part of Aussie Gold Hunters, and the gold price has been at record highs, and that's created a massive new interest in prospecting that I've seen. There are people everywhere starting to look for gold.
The lure of large nuggets is one of the draws of Damon Duke, 39, who works in construction. Duke used to go prospecting with his father, who died 3 years ago. Gold has chalked up successive records this year, surging above $4,500 a troy ounce on Friday. Goldman Sachs expects prices will reach $4,900 by the end of 2026, with further gains likely if private investors continue diversifying their portfolios amid geopolitical and fiscal uncertainty. In Victoria, fossickers must buy a permit from the state government. The permit allows them to fossick using only hand tools and to keep any gold they find. Demand for the miners' right permits has hit all-time highs at almost 16,000 by November from early 11,000 last year, according to figures from Victoria's Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action, supplied exclusively to Reuters. In total, there are more than 100,000 active miners' right permits in Victoria.
That concludes news for now. Thank you for watching PSM News. Have a good day.